Hey guys, welcome in. I hope you're doing well today. I'm Tiffany and this is Tika's Gardens, and I am heading to the vegetable garden so that I can finish up the last couple of beds here in the garden. I have one raised bed left and one in-ground bed left. And we have already, over the weekend, my husband and I broke up the soil and added the bone meal and plant tone, which I use on the older soil to make sure it has nutrients. So as the roots of the new vegetables get down to that layer of soil, there's food there for them. And so it's just a way of kind of reviving the old soil in the bed. And then I'm going to top it with fresh garden soil, that has food in it already. So let me show you the two beds that I have left to finish up. It's really just filling them, because like I said, we've already turned the soil, pulled weeds, and added the nutrients to the soil. So it's just topping it now. And then I'm also going to be planting some turnip greens. So let me show you and then let's get started. All right, guys, so this is the last raised bed that has to be addressed. And like I said, we've already added the nutrients, turned the soil over and everything. So it's just a matter of topping it off with garden soil. So that's the first bed. The other bed that we have worked on is this one. And I left one mustard green in ground so that I can collect seeds from it. I try to do that whenever I can. Well, I actually left two. There's a smaller one down here that was growing seeds, but I think it's kind of fading away. But anyway, I usually try to leave one or two in ground of vegetables when I can so that I can harvest the seeds from them. But this bed is going to be the one that my husband will plant his vegetables in. So it's already been prepped as well. So it's ready to go. And then I should have enough soil to where I can kind of top this bed off back here. So you can see that this bed was already topped off. I mixed the soil in with this bed. This bed is so weed prone. So although I've got the kale and the collards growing, you can see a bunch of weeds in there. And this empty row here is where the cilantro is supposed to be growing. I know it tends to take a little bit longer, but it's, you can see all these weeds kind of coming up in there. I hate that, but we'll work with it the best way we can. But let's go ahead and get this bed topped off and get this bed topped off. And then we're going to plant our turnip greens. There's the seeds right there. And the turnips are going to go in this bed here. Or maybe not. Maybe because I didn't really plant anything. I tried to do kale in this one last season, but I started it late in the season. It was kind of warm and nothing really grew. So I'll probably use this bed for the mustards, and that bed we'll use for something else. But I said mustards, I mean turnips. But here, are the turnip greens. I have White Lady, which I've never grown before, so we'll see how that goes. And then Purple Top, which I have grown a couple of times, and it's done well for me. So we're going to plant those two, and we'll fill this whole bed up with those turnips here. So let me get the beds topped off, and then we'll get the seeds planted. guys, well, I've got all of the beds that I was going to work on topped off today, and I've got the turnip seeds out. So let me show you what the beds look like now that they're filled and refreshed. So starting back here with the blueberry bed, it is nice and refreshed and looking good. And that one was done a week or so ago. This bed I did, and I showed you earlier that it's got a lot of weeds in between the rows. I did a little experiment. I mixed the soil in as opposed to topping it off. That's an airplane. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. But I mixed the soil in instead of topping it off just to see how it would work. And as I can see, it's best to go ahead and top it off because the weeds are mixing in with the vegetables and it's just crazy. So I'll have to get in there and in between the rows and behind the rows, clean the weeds. But the row that the cilantro is supposed to be in is going to be a challenge because the seeds haven't sprouted yet. So I'll have to get in there and clean up, but I know next time instead, this was an experiment. I wanted to see how this bed did in comparison to like this bed and this one and these others on the ground, you know, this one, which was the first one I did, obviously. And even though this was done like a week or a couple of weeks before the back bed, it's still pretty clear of weeds. There are a few pop up here and there, little small ones. I catch them early, but yeah, so it's best for me to top off. So next year I know to do that. Well, not next year, but in the late summer when I get ready to do the fall crops, I'll just do that. So that's an experiment, and I know what will work best for this garden now as far as the ground beds are concerned. But here is the raised bed here, nice and freshly filled and ready to go. So this one is empty. This one is the purple tops, which are on this end here, and the white lady is on this end, and the middle row is half purple top, half white lady. So that's that bed, and then this is the other in-ground bed. So it looks very good. Very good. So all of the beds are ready to go. Oh my goodness. You can see how windy it is out here. Look at how it's blowing the mustard there. Look how beautiful the roses look from this side of the vegetable garden. They're so pretty and so rich in color. So, oh, and the dill seeds that I planted over here are coming up as well. They're little bitty tiny here looking sprouts, but they're coming. I'm excited. So this is an overall view. If I step back, try to get over here of the vegetable garden. So the only thing that's left in here is to get my cool weather plants out and get my warm weather plants in, meaning the snapdragons and dianthus will have to come out pretty soon because it's getting more and more humid. So that's the only thing that's left, is to plant the pocket beds. So I'm excited to have this done. Now I can really put my focus on getting the rest of the garden planted, finishing up the courtyard garden, and of course I have to get these dianthus out eventually as well. These are our cooler weather plants. They're not going to do good in the heat, so those will need to come out, and I'll need to get those that bed planted up with some warm weather plants. So yeah, it's that time. I'm excited. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. I want to thank you for joining me in the garden, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.